Yesterday, I received an email from Senator Chafee. In this email, Senator Chafee asked for clarification on whether or not teachers had really been offered 100% job security, describing it as, quote, the basic question that must be settled, unquote. He said he does not want to, quote, inherit a labor mess, unquote, as he works to build a more prosperous Rhode Island as governor. What kind of leadership thinks the basic question about a school in which only half the children graduate and 90% can't do basic math? What kind of leadership thinks that the basic question involves job security for its adults rather than the educational outcomes for its children? But many people do agree with what Dr. Gallo is doing, and they have and share her courage of leadership. President Obama's Secretary of Education, a Democrat, Arne Duncan, has weighed in by saying, and I quote, "When schools continue to struggle, we have a collective obligation to take action." Dr. Gallo is committed to turning Central Falls around, and she is taking that action. Ana Caño-Morales, the chairwoman of the Board of Trustees, and many of her fellow trustees are committed to taking that action. Commissioner Deborah Gist is committed. The Board of Regents are committed. Your governor is committed. The Secretary of Education of the United States is committed. I'm committed. I feel like I shouldn't even have to ask, but are you committed? Dr. Gallo dispelled an important myth, a myth that children of low income, children of different ethnic descent may not be able to achieve at high levels. That is a myth. Or that their parents don't care. That is a myth. She told you 97% of her parents came in for teacher-parent conferences. In that community, there's a wonderful kindergarten. And Dr. Gallo's turning around the kindergarten in her own district. Almost every parent of a kindergarten-age child applies to get that child the best educational opportunity by entering a lottery in that community. So, should there be any doubt in our minds that children born into poverty can become successful in America, or shall we continue to leave these children behind? Should a boy in Central Falls have the opportunity to achieve at the same levels as a little girl from Barrington, or shall we continue a system whereby the zip code you are born in determines the quality of your educational opportunity? In a town where the growth industry is a federal detention center, should we continue to sit idly by, wring our hands, and express dismay over the wasted opportunity of our precious youth? For decades, we have lacked the leadership, the willingness, and most importantly, the courage to challenge these assumptions and to believe in these children. And yet today, we believe. We believe in the children of Central Falls, and now more than ever, these children need our help, and I need your help. We are bombarded by powerful forces who seek relentlessly to defend the status quo. I need you to rise up with Dr. Gallo and with all the other people who are standing with the courage to this commitment. I need you to believe in these children. I need you to believe in Rhode Island, in a future for our education system where we can turn this around. We can go from worst to first in Central Falls. I'm asking you, and it's this simple. Call your legislature. Call your legislators. Call your elected officials. Write a letter. Talk to John DePietro or other people on the radio. Talk to your neighbors and tell them, I support bold education reform. I believe in the children of Central Falls. Because if not now, when? If not us, who? And if not 02863, where? Thank you.
I think you'll all agree with me that this has been almost an electric program this morning. And thank heaven for young people like Angus Davis who stepped forward. Angus, we appreciate your words, we appreciate your service, and we hope you'll take it back to your colleagues on the Board of Regents that we're with them on this, and we're with Dr. Gallo and the efforts that she's making. Now, it's up to me at this point to close the program. Before I do, famous words, I have just a couple of things I need to say. I said at the outset that I thought this might be the most important meeting that we've ever convened, and I believe it has been. Because all that you've heard here today, and you've heard a broad spectrum of concerns and possible solutions, and I thank you very much for staying with us during this time to hear these things. This is a very important moment for RISC. Some of you may know that I retired from my business after having made a living as a fundraiser for nonprofit institutions, by the way, not politicians. I don't know much about that. But there's still places in the country, by the way, where when I walk down the street, I see an inordinate number of people walking to the other side. But it's been a great career because the value of it has always been that people support things in which they believe, and it's amazing how they step forward to do those things when the essence of the problem or the essence of the challenge is in their heart and they believe in it, and no fundraiser has to come along and tell them to give. All you have to do is come along and say, this is the time. And as Angus has said, with respect to education, this is the time. We are the people. If we don't do it, no one else is going to do it. I believe that firmly, and I believe not only is it required for us to do those things we were talking about here today, but we have got to take this message out of here. We have got to reach the rest of Rhode Island. We've got to do everything in our power to bring this message to those people who I think are beginning to yearn to hear it. I think every one of you can point to something that's happened in your life in the last week or two or the last month when you've talked to somebody who surprised you by saying what they were concerned about. People who had previously been impervious, it seems, to what was going on around them. The world is alive. Rhode Island is alive. Things are happening, and it's our time. So I'm asking you to help us in this effort. Leave this room imbued with the fact that we can change Rhode Island if we have the will to do it. I think we can do it. And if it's the last thing I do in my life, I want to see it done. I know that I'm not alone in that, and I'm really heartened by the fact that we put together a pretty good law firm here today. What's wrong, I say, when you have DePietro and Gallo and Deckman and Davis and Carcieri surrounded by the best people in the state of Rhode Island? We can't lose if we do these things. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming, for staying with us for this program. We are not going to have a Q&A now because we've pressed it far enough, but we're going to let people leave who feel that they want to. We're going to stay here, and in about 5 minutes, we're going to have a Q&A if there are those of you who would like to make a comment or ask a question. Thank you very much for coming. We'll see you on August 7th. Put down in your notebook, we'll see you on August the 7th at our summer meeting, and we ought to have some really outstanding news to announce at that time. So be with us then.